What if everything you were taught about Africa was a lie? What if the history of this vast continent was not one of darkness, but of light? Of kings and queens, of architects and philosophers, of wealth so great that it shook the world. For centuries, the West has told a single story about Africa, a land of poverty, primitiveness, and endless wilderness. But this story is a fabrication, a carefully crafted lie designed to erase the truth. Before the Europeans came, Africa had empires that rivaled Rome, cities that outshone London, and wealth that exceeded the combined treasuries of Europe. As Chinua Achebe, the great Nigerian writer, once said, "Until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter." Today we tell the lion's story. Africa's greatest king was not a European monarch. He was an African ruler, Mansa Musa of Mali. In 1324, Mansa Musa made a pilgrimage to Mecca, but this was no ordinary journey. His caravan stretched for miles, carrying over 24,000 pounds of gold, gifting so much of it along the way that he crashed the entire economy of Egypt. His wealth was so vast, his influence so grand, that even European cartographers had no choice but to put Mali on their maps. In 1375, the Catalan Atlas of Spain depicted Mansa Musa holding a golden scepter, a rare acknowledgement of Africa's dominance. Yet today, Western education barely mentions him. Why? Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the Kenyan writer, tells us, "The biggest weapon wielded by imperialism is the erasure of historical memory." The Kingdom of Benin, in modern Nigeria, was home to artists whose works shocked the Western world. The famous Benin bronzes, intricate metal sculptures dating back to the 13th century, showed a level of craftsmanship so advanced that Europeans refused to believe Africans made them. When the British raided Benin in 1897, they looted thousands of these bronzes, scattering them across museums in London, Berlin, and Paris. To this day, these stolen artifacts sit behind glass, while Britain claims it civilized Africa. As Wole Soyinka, the Nobel Prize-winning African writer, put it, "A tiger does not proclaim its tigritude, it pounces. Africa does not need validation from its former colonizers." Deep in southern Africa, the great Zimbabwe Empire built a city with stone walls so massive, so architecturally precise, that when European explorers found it, they refused to believe Africans had built it. Instead, they created absurd theories, that it was built by the Phoenicians, or lost Israelites, or even aliens, but never by black Africans. Colonial historians were so determined to deny Africa its greatness, that they rewrote history itself. Even today, some textbooks hesitate to give credit to Great Zimbabwe. As Amilcar Cabral, the revolutionary African thinker, said, "Imperialism is not only a system of oppression, but a system of lies." The Songhai Empire controlled Timbuktu, the intellectual heart of Africa. This was no village, it was a city of scholars, poets, and mathematicians. The Sankore University housed over 700,000 manuscripts, rivaling any European institution. While Europe burned so-called witches, Timbuktu scholars were writing books on astronomy, medicine, and philosophy. But where are these books today? Stolen, hidden, forgotten. As Frantz Fanon wrote, "Imperialism leaves nothing untouched, not even the minds of the colonized." Why was this history erased? Because an Africa that was powerful before Europe would mean an Africa that never needed Europe. Colonialism was not about bringing civilization. It was about stealing resources, land, and power. And to justify this theft, Europe needed Africa to look broken, empty, and backward. As Malcolm X said, "If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing." But today, we reclaim the truth. Africa was never a continent without history. It was never a land without civilization. It is time to stop learning Africa's history from the colonizer's perspective and start telling our own stories. As Thomas Sankara once said, "We must dare to invent the future." The question now is, will you help spread this truth, or will you let them erase it again?